Hello, hello. So today I want to talk to you about inversions, and I want to teach you a few much more simple and accessible inversions than the ones that we typically see a lot on Instagram, which are the handstands and the scorpions and the headstands and all these crazy things that really you don't have to do those to be a yoga practitioner. Those kinds of poses and postures, they take a lot more training to work up to, and even something that I haven't even reached at this point myself as a yoga teacher. So I prefer doing shoulder stand and some of these more simple inversions that will still get us the same exact benefits that we would the benefits of going upside down, basically. Maybe not building the arm strength going in the handstand, but really the point of an inversion, right, is to get the benefits of going upside down, which help us on so many different levels. Physically, it helps to relieve the muscle valves that move blood to our heart that have to work against gravity. So it can help relieve that by obviously allowing gravity to just pull the blood back down to the heart. And it also really helps with lymph drainage. So this can also really help support and boost our immune system to help lymphatic drainage, which the lymph fluid in our system does not have that help from muscular valves moving it through our body. So physically, this can be really, really beneficial to your body to go upside down a few minutes every day. Also, just increases our proprioception, our awareness of space, and how to move when being flipped upside down. And then on a psychosocial level, obviously going upside down just really can sometimes help kind of inspire you, remotivate you, give you a different perspective. Sometimes you just gotta switch it up and flip things around to see something in a new light. So I love inversions for many reasons. If you have any health problems like with your blood pressure or things like that, you're definitely going to want to talk to your doctor before going into an inversion, and just be really, really careful when practicing them at home. So I'll give you a couple easier ones to start off with, or I shouldn't say easier, but more so like more accessible postures that you shouldn't have to worry too much about. But then I'm gonna walk you through shoulder stand, which is one that you do want to be very, very careful, especially if you have any neck weakness or injury. So when we go through shoulder stand, just make sure that you do proper warm up before going into it. So I'm not gonna go through all of that here in this video, but I would instruct you to look online for some videos and do as many like kind of head and neck exercises as you can. You know, some neck rolls are good. This one is good on both sides. Some little neck turtles and stuff like that. So properly warm up your neck region and don't go into shoulder stand if you do have a weak neck, because it is putting a lot of weight on the cervical spine and can be very dangerous. So the other thing that you can do to warm up for shoulder stand is really do some stretching into the upper back and take some nice movements like that. Maybe do some bridge pose, do a little yoga sequence for heart opening and back bending and really bringing that stretch into the upper back, because shoulder stand, what it really does is helps to we are opening a little bit and getting a little bit of a back bend in the upper back. So shoulder stand is really meant to help us stretch the upper back and the tops of the shoulders as well as the neck. So it can also be really good for what are those muscles in the back of your body? I forget what they're called right now. I think it starts with a V. Anyways, y'all can tell me in the comments if you remember what I'm talking about. It starts with a V or a TH. I can't remember. Anyways, let's get to it. Let me show you a couple of different options for taking yourself upside down and experiencing the benefits of inversion. So I like to do a lot of these up at the wall. So you can start by just bringing your bum right up to the wall. And then don't make the mistake that I made earlier of like trying to straddle the wall from both sides and then lift yourself up, because you might hurt the back of your legs like I did. But start off just by bringing your bum to the wall, and then if the curtain will let you go, bring both feet up the wall. And this is obviously super simple, but it is really nice and you still get all the benefits of going upside down. It is Viparita Karani, legs up the wall, and it is a very calming and soothing inversion that you can do to help you sleep at night, to help relax you, and it's a great one to do at the end of any yoga class. So you can stay here for a few minutes and just really make yourself comfortable. It's pretty much as simple as that. So that's the most accessible inversion that you can do. And then whenever you come out of an inversion, just be really slow and mindful as you are coming from a completely different worldview upside down. So the other one I want to show you is using blocks. So this is a modification of Shoulderstand, but it is really getting you the same benefits that you would get with Shoulderstand. So bring 1 or 2 blocks or anything that can mimic a block nearby, and come on down to your back just like you would get into bridge pose. Bring your feet just under your bum, and then just go ahead and take your bum up, lift your hips toward the sky, and take 1 block under your sacrum, and then the other one if you feel like you want that extra lift. And then place them together. Bring your shoulders underneath your, bring your shoulders underneath your back a little bit more. And then from this moment on, from once you get into bridge pose here, do not turn your head side to side. So if you are doing this video along with me, maybe take a pause just to watch what I'm doing, and then you can come back into it. So make sure that your sacrum is really sturdy here on your blocks. Then you can just start off by taking 1 foot up at a time and just see how that feels. You want to keep your feet, your knees about hip width distance apart. Hands can just be down to your sides, either placed on the floor to help with your stability or face up if you feel relaxed. And when you feel ready, just go ahead and lift both feet at the same time, keeping your sacrum on the blocks, and press out through your heels. Now, if you're like me and you have a lot of compression in the hips and your hamstrings are pretty tight, you might find it difficult without warming up your hamstrings first. But if you're finding it difficult to stack your feet above your hips, then you can bend your knees a little bit to bring your feet more over the hips. That's totally fine. And just readjust if you need to. Move the blocks around, make sure that it's comfortable enough that you can stay for a while, but also keeping in mind that shoulder stand isn't like really a passive pose. Like, it is more passive than the other inversions, but it's not that passive. Like, you are going to have to hold your feet here together and up in the air. But if you can find a comfortable enough spot to roll your shoulders under a little bit more and lift your heart and chest, this is where you're going to start to get more into the upper back opening and the neck opening. So you keep your chin tucked toward your chest, keep your gaze up, and just stay there for a few moments, and you come back down. So that pretty much gives you a lot of the same benefits of doing a full shoulder stand. And you can do a little fish pose to counterbalance that one, just bringing the feet all the way straight out in front of you, half flexing the foot. Bring your hands under your bum, bring your shoulders under, or your elbows under you, and then start to gaze up at your belly button as you lift the head and neck up, and then tilt the head back and come onto the crown of your head. Just placing a tiny bit of weight there. You're really not placing much weight on the top of your head. You're using this leverage of your hands under your bum and your elbows into the mat to lift your heart up and just get a little opening through the front of the neck. Now, this isn't the best counter pose to a full shoulder stand, but it does just give you basically the exact opposite stretch. but we want to engage the neck. So we'll give you some better counter poses to shoulder stand afterwards. So to come out, you just start by looking back at your belly button, and then you start to lower your upper body down and come all the way down onto the mat. So now I will show you the full shoulder stand. And this is where you need to get a bunch of blankets. So get like a bunch of blankets or towels, probably like 4 or 5 is great. And you're gonna wanna bring that all the way up to the wall. You make a really, really nice stack here. So I don't know if you can see, but it's really important that you layer these in a way that your whole upper back can fit on this pile of blankets. So you want to be really like strict about this. All of your shoulders and back can fit on the blankets, so make it a little bit wider than your mat, and just fold them over a couple times and stack them up like this, and make sure that this edge here is very straight as well. Needs to be really good, no little rolls or anything like that underneath there. And I like to use, for the very top, a Mexican blanket, because you want blankets that are really firm and sturdy. And then to make sure that your head and neck your head doesn't get stuck on the hard yoga mat, you can either be on like the hardwood floor where it's a little more slippery, or you can just take the bottom of the rest of that part of your blanket and just fold it over or unfold it there, just so that there's continuity and your head can slide and doesn't get stuck. So this is the pose that you want to be super, super careful with your head and neck here, because we're getting a really deep stretch through the whole back of the neck by really tucking it down. But some of you might have really weak or sensitive necks, so you just want to be really aware of that. And we do want to keep a little bit of the natural shape, the natural curve of the cervical spine of that neck area when coming into this pose. So basically, once you have your your blankets like totally set up and ready to go, and they are super, you're super anal about it, you can come down onto your mat. And like I said before, a great way to warm up for this pose is just coming into bridge pose a few times and then lifting one leg at a time maybe, or just kind of lifting in and out of bridge pose a couple of times to start. And you'll shift yourself down onto your blanket stack, and then bring your shoulders so that they're just a few inches away from the edge of the stack. And I don't know if you can see here, but start to lift yourself so your bum comes toward the wall. And you want your shoulders to just be a few inches away from the edge of the stack, but you want it so that your head, you're still getting a stretch through the back of the neck, but your head is coming off of the blankets and you're getting a little bit of space in there. So you're leaving room for a little bit of that natural curve in the low spine. So again, watch me first before doing this yourself, because once you get into shoulder stand, we really don't want you to be turning your neck and your head side to side at all, because a lot of pressure is on your neck. So you start off here and then bring the legs up the wall, just like Viparita Karani. And then from this place, you can begin to crawl your hips forward and bring your hands to your low back and start to walk your shoulders in, your elbows in, your shoulders under, and then start to press your hips forward and see if you can walk your hands further down your back, closer to your shoulder blades. And keep your chin tucked toward your chest. You'll start to feel that stretch through the back of the neck, through the tops of the shoulders, the upper back, and you'll start to feel almost that little back bend in the upper body. And another thing that can help out here a lot is to bring a strap around the upper arm bones, just above the shoulders. So you can try bringing a strap in, and that can help you keep your shoulders together, your elbows together, so that you can really relax into the pose. But the goal here is to get to pretty much straight up and down. So hips above the shoulders. And then once you feel ready, you can begin to play with lifting one foot off at a time. And then eventually, if you feel stable with your hand hold, you can bring both feet away from the wall. And I like to call them stiletto feet here, just taking a half flex of the foot and a half point, and then see if you can press your hips a little bit more forward and walk your hands a little farther down the back. And take a few deep breaths, stay here for maybe a few minutes. If it feels okay, you might need to engage the core a little bit, really work to squeeze and hug the inner thighs together, hug the legs together. And then whenever you're ready, just come down really slowly. Some people like to even go completely overhead here. You might like to play around with that. This will be a really nice hamstring opening if you can make it to that. Otherwise, just squeeze the legs back in and then come back to the wall. Slowly lower your body down. And what feels really nice for me is coming off the wall a little bit, just bringing my shoulder blades, just walking a little bit further away, bring my shoulder blades to that edge there. And just resting here, allowing, you can bring your arms to wherever it feels comfortable, but gives you a nice little, really easy back bend. Really gentle little back bend. You can just pause there for a while and breathe. And then to finally end, you definitely want to do a counter pose for this one. And for a counter pose, I would recommend doing locust or salambasana, which is prone position on the front of your body on the mat and lifting your chest, lifting your upper body up off the mat, or lifting all of your limbs, your head and neck up off the mat. You can also do bhujangasana, low cobra pose, things that are going to get the neck re-engaged, but also be opening the front of the neck again. So moving the neck essentially is better than Matsyasana, fish pose. So yeah, take some openers like that, and then maybe a nice forward fold and some twists. And that will be a nice counterbalance to all of the work that you just did in shoulder stand or Sadhangasana. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that helped. And like I said, this is a pretty intense posture, but still a pretty accessible inversion. So please let me know in the comments if you have any questions at all, or I can help support your practice in any way. And I hope that you got a lot out of this video today. So if you did, please share and save to come back to in the future. Namaste.